I feel like this is going to be quick, but I don't know. I never really know. This is about a concept that is so plain and basic and should have been something I had done a long time ago, but this is a process, right? I'm still figuring things out, and part of that is external processing and just doing this to help myself figure things out. Counseling has been a thing, as I've talked about on the vlog many times. That's been a thing that's been happening now for a couple months. And my last session brought up something that I didn't really think about until I was reading over my notes. Most of the sessions I find that I'm usually like writing a couple notes. But yeah, reading stuff, taking in stuff, having conversations, whatever. But then just, again, reading the note was part of that processing for me and understanding. And talking about it right now will hopefully get me to that place even more so. But again, this is such a basic concept that I don't know how much I can really get from it. It's just, I need to do it. This is execution. And like accepting what I can't change and recognizing sooner that I can't change it and then rewiring, like, again, just like, it's that process of rewiring synapses up here and just like conditioning of the self. It's funny because my counselor and I got into a little bit of a roadblock a couple sessions back because I was talking about conditioning and like changing and like how I should be able to like condition myself to do this or do that or not do this or not do that, but also feel this or feel that. And she's like, you can't change what you feel, right? And I was like, why not? Like, can I not condition myself? Like this feeling that I have right now isn't a good feeling and it's not an appropriate response. The thing is, like, whatever. There's a bunch of gray area here. It's not a black and white thing because if someone that I love is hurt or in pain or dies or something, I'm going to be sad about that. I'm not going to like that. It's going to be a negative feeling. And you can, how you act with those feelings, she was saying, like, you just have to just accept, and that's where that word just jumped out at me in my notes. But you just have to accept that feeling as like a feeling you're going to feel and work through the feeling. If you fight the feeling, then you're going to have other problems, which I completely understand. But I was just like, why do I have to accept that that's a feeling I'm going to have? Again, not with that thing. With that thing being like, okay, there's someone you're intimately close with, and something bad happens to them, you're going to have not nice feelings about it. 100%, that makes sense. But other times where it's like, let's say I was feeling joyful about someone else's downfall. And I'm like, I don't like that feeling. I don't like that I see someone else is having a crappy time and I'm delighting in their misery. Like that, there's a part of me that, again, like feels good about it if it's someone that like, oh man, like I don't like that person, or that person has wronged me in the past, and then it's like, ha ha, you're in a bad spot now. And that's my example with her was like, what if that's what's happening? That's not something good for me. I don't think that's healthy for me. And she's like, well, who are you to judge? It's funny. Who are you to judge what's healthy for you? Or like, who are you to, like, why do you judge the emotions you're having? Like, that's part of your problem, is that you're judging your emotions rather than just letting your emotions happen, because you can change how you act with those emotions. You can change what you do with those emotions, but you can't change the emotions you're getting. And I'm still kind of like, I don't know about that. Because I feel like there are some things I could condition myself to react differently to, and thus feel differently towards. So like, if I can become somewhat indifferent, or if I can even go to the other side and be like, man, that sucks for them. Like eventually getting to a place where I'm not delighting in someone else's misery would probably be a healthier thing for me than just being like, she was talking about like analyzing the feeling, be like, oh, I'm feeling this thing. Why am I feeling that thing? And then kind of deconstructing it. But that's different than just like trying to avoid that feeling, because I think eventually you can get to a place where you can condition yourself to just be better and not have those feelings like that in that scenario that may be harmful to yourself, right? There's that whole thing about like holding a grudge is drinking poison and hoping the other person dies, right? And so, like, if I could train myself, condition myself to not hold grudges like that, or to not delight in someone else's pain or whatever, then why wouldn't I want to do that? And I think that that is something that is achievable, but that's just me. Anyway, other thing that we're going to get to, acceptance. So just accepting, that's where that word jumped out. Just accepting feelings, that you just have those feelings and that's it. But that just made me think of just like, man, like I just haven't really talked about the fact that it's so difficult for me to accept things that I can't change. Just to accept change, period. Because some things you can alter. So like accepting change is one of those things like I have a hard time with. But also just like accepting a thing that happened. It's like, okay, like sometimes that's just, it's fine for me, it's easy, it's a regular everyday occurrence, like things happen and you can't know all the things that are going to happen, you just have to accept what comes your way. But if I have an expectation, then it's hard for me to accept that that didn't go the way that it was supposed to go in my mind. Like, that I had made a path and I said, this is what should happen here, this is what I want to happen here, and it didn't happen that way, and I'm just going to accept that. Again, it sounds like so basic. It's really difficult for me in some scenarios. And it just takes so much emotional and mental energy to like fight that and to not accept it and to be upset about it. And so that's one of those things that right now, like it just hit me in a certain way that I'm like, I really need to work on that. I really need to work on accepting, just accept that whatever that thing is that I don't like, it doesn't matter that I don't like it. It's not gonna, like, it's just, I have to accept, okay, this is what happened, now what do we do? That's where I need to get to. That's where just that one little note just, that wasn't even about accepting everything. It was just like, accept the emotions are gonna happen, and you can just deal with that differently. But like, in so many different areas of my life, I just don't want to accept that thing yet. It takes me a bit to like accept the thing, and it fuels anxiety like crazy by trying to fight whatever that thing is and not accept it, rather than I can just be like, hey, this is what happened, now what? Now what do we do? And that's something that I haven't focused on, like, in this way. I haven't like just been like, you need to really focus on that, because that is like a huge key, I feel, to my anxiety, and also just the things that I do that don't feel good, or like not accepting things the way that they are because I want them to be different. And of course that it doesn't work that way, and that's silly. Yeah, that's basically where it's at. It's just like I need to be better at focusing on accepting what I can't change and moving on, and that process needs to become just a streamlined thing. It was like, hey, it's like taking a breath. It's like, hey, the glass broke, now there's like, let's just clean it up. Like, let's just focus on fixing that thing, let's clean that up, and let's try to think afterwards, how can we not have broken glass situations again? Just again, but if I just waste emotional energy on just like reacting to the glass breaking first and being like, why did it, oh my goodness, like again, like why did this happen? Why did I do that? Or why did you do that? Or you could have just done this differently, and like whatever, like all that happens, and I'm just like spinning my wheels, not doing anything positive at all. When I could just be like, okay, that sucks, and okay, let's just clean it up and move on. And if you need to have a discussion with yourself or someone else for some educational purposes, to like, okay, this is why that happened, and if we do things differently, that doesn't have to happen. Like, let's just do things differently. Let's just like, whatever that situation might be, right? Yeah, again, it's like a really basic concept that's just not easy for me to fulfill. It's like, it's just not easy for me just to do it, and it needs to be. Yeah, I just need to get better at that. I need to get better at just like taking that breath, accepting that that thing happened. Again, there's sometimes where it's like I don't need like there's wiggle room to just be like, let's not do that thing, or let's talk about that thing, or whatever. Like sometimes there's wiggle room, but sometimes it's like, no, that thing happened and that's it, and now we just need to deal with that thing happened, rather than like the amount of expression I would have over a thing happening, the amount of fight that that thing happened, even though I know that it can't change, is draining and just fuels the anxiety. Rather than like, hey, this happened, holy crap, this sucks, what do we do now? And I understand, like, on the opposite side of the spectrum, some people just accept things way too quickly and don't do the rest of it. It's just like, okay, that happened and that sucks and I know that it happened, but it's like avoidance, right? It's like, I guess they're both avoidance. Like me expressing, like over expressing, like how horrible this thing was or how crappy it is or how much I hate it or this thing sucks. And I'm like, why does it always have to happen this way? And just doing that and catastrophizing, that is avoidance of now it's time to figure out how to deal with it. Like, I'm not ready to deal with it yet, I guess, is what that means. But then on the opposite side of that, I think some people can accept it much more, quote-unquote, gracefully, or just, like, not express as much, but then they don't deal with it right away either. Like, yeah, that happened. Just shit happens. Stuff happens, right? I'm like, okay, but what do we do so that thing doesn't happen again later? Like, can you not see that this is an issue and that we could solve this issue and things could be better later? Like, it's one of those things where some people are way too chill and it creates problems rather than solving problems. But I recognize that my avoidance measure of catastrophizing and over-expressing and being caught up in the emotional aspect of this leads to this, like this screwed up all these other things. Like I don't need to express it. I could just like take a breath and be like, hey, all that stuff can go run through my head, but once I verbalize it, I start to like trip over my own feet and again spin my wheels or whatever you want to say there. Like it starts to just like really become a problem. Like, yeah, it's not a good thing. So, to wrap that up, acceptance would be really great. I need to focus on that. Acceptance, or whatever. Take a breath, accept, that happened, that sucks. Okay, now what? And I think I'll be able to move forward productively much quicker and more effectively if I were to just accept things so much quicker. And again, it's just one of those things that some people just do that, like they've been conditioned to do that, or they whatever grew up where that was the thing. Either way, that's conditioning. But I mean, like it's some people just do that, and they've been doing it for a really long time, and it's not like a fight, or it's never been any other way for them. But for me, 35 years into the game, that's just not. I don't know. I've always had trouble with it, but I haven't focused on it, and there's just a lot of growth happening these past couple of years. And a lot of things that are letting me see my weaknesses, and a lot of circumstances and situations showing me what needs to change. And this is one of those things that, oh my goodness, this could make my life so much easier. It's just like it just seems like so simple. It is so simple. I just need to catch myself more often doing the opposite and stop it, and then redirect, correct, and establish new neural pathways. Again, condition myself to slow down, condition myself to accept, and then move forward.